Hi, it's another great day to not just observe but to also actively participate in the dialogue that shapes our society. This is the Middlemen of Jurors on Enterprise Television, where perspectives are meet and the truth comes to light. Our esteemed jurors are here to present their cases, challenge the status quo, and ignite conversations that matter. Juror Olajumoke James would be condemning the society's focus on lavish celebrations and projects instead of the provision of basic amenities for the poor. Our juror from the Rabbi is here to decry the defection of the Delta State Governor, his deputy, and the local government chairman from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress APC. Juror Emeka will be evaluating the incumbent administration in the past 2 years. And I, Juror Henry, criticizes the government's deradicalization program for bandits while abandoning the victims of this evil. Please stay tuned as we prepare to ignite the conversation that moves us forward. Thanks for staying with us. My case, deradicalization, the killers forgetting the victims, a case of government hypocrisy. In a nation still bleeding from the countless attacks, the federal government's decision to fund the deradicalization of bandits while their victims rot in overcrowded IDP camps is not just misplaced, it's morally bankrupt. These bandits who razed villages, stole futures, and shattered lives are now being offered rehabilitation programs, reintegration packages, and in some cases, stipends funded by taxpayers. Meanwhile, the very people they maimed, women, children, and elderly citizens are still sleeping on bare floors, surviving on scraps and living without hopes in IDP camps that barely function. What message does this send? The violence pays, that the state rewards a terror while abandoning justice. It is hypocrisy at its peak. A government that preaches peace but forgets justice is the foundation of true peace. You cannot mend a nation by pampering the hands that held the gun while ignoring the hearts that were broken by them. My verdict: deradicalization may be necessary, but not without accountability. Not while the victims are still displaced, not while they still ask, where is our justice? If Nigeria must move forward, ladies and gentlemen, then empathy must be equal. Let us fund healing, but let it begin with the victims, not the violators. Gentlemen,
we have a policy with, we have a problem with policy in Nigeria. And that problem is that the government approach to very sensitive matters like, terrorism and banditry is the reason why terrorism and banditry has festered uncontrollably. This is not the first time they've introduced this. There was a time they introduced it and enlist some of them in the army.
And we're paying them 20,000 naira.
Little wonder they are losing the war
True.
consistently every time they are being ambushed. When you say a man is repentant, there is no act in the face to tell the construction of the mind.
Are they only repentant after being caught?
Yes. So I mean, the ones that are caught that are now converted automatically by their own.
So somebody who is avoiding justice.
Yes, you now say
he has repented.
He has repented, and he's now rehabilitated automatically.
You give them clothes, give them housing, even pay them.
Yeah, you are paying them at the expense of those whom they have killed, those whom they have raped,
displaced,
those whom they have displaced, and you are not even catering for those they have displaced. So it's an irony.
Very true. We talked about it last.
It's an irony. When you displace people, then you are feeding the same people who cost. Over the weekend, I saw a video of the insurgents, how they were killing people and throwing them into a pit. They were slaughtering them. They slaughter them in their, it was just,
You saw the video of somebody in Gombe who drove into an Easter procession and killed a few people. Now that person, right, if caught, will now say, I'm repented. You now rehabilitate them, house them, give them money. Meanwhile, the dead have been buried unjustly.
So it means that the government is not fighting.
It's not fighting insurgency.
They are not fighting.
In fact, even the name banditry, it came between 2014 and and the present administration, because most of the people caught in terrorism were Fulanis, right? So they say, oh no, they are not terrorists. They are looking for their food. These are some of them who have gone rogue. I remember El Rufai saying that they're doing their business. They've just gone rogue. Hence, they stopped the media from calling them terrorists, but bandits. But what they are terrorists.
No, I disagree that they stopped the media. The media colluded in that distortion of narrative, and it's a consistent thing, because Nigerians don't ask questions, because Nigerians don't hold the media to account, because Nigerians don't call the media, they don't call out media indiscretions, and so we allow things. We allow things to just go like that. I've had reason to ask people, the way you expect the media to hold the government to account, the way they expect the media to drag the feet of the government to the fire and hold it there, you too drag the feet of the media to the fire and hold it there, so that the media will not, lower its guard.
Very true.
And start pushing narratives for government, because the function of the media is to set agenda, is to direct narratives.
But again, if freedom of the press is not guaranteed, as it isn't in Nigeria, it's just in our books, right? If you do not want to lose your license, if you do not want your office shut down, I remember a media house who reported that President Yaradua died, and the media house was shut down.
But where's the person who shut the media house?
And it was the truth then. That
where's the person who shut the media house?
Out of government.
Good. So the thing is this: as the media, we must do.
But at the time, you as a businessman, you won't want your business shut down.
No, please, let me tell you. Once a businessman decides to put money in the media, just know it that it is a business. It is a risky business.
Yeah.
And by the way, the media is not even a business per se.
It's not supposed to be.
Because when it becomes a business per se, you know what? You begin to trade authenticity for monetary reward. And which is what has brought about things like this banditry and others. So let us not offend the government, so that we can keep getting patronage, so that the government will not shut us down. But for crying out aloud,
the media is supposed to be run as a foundation.
There was a media house during the 2020 NSAS protests. They were playing music rather than show the killings that was happening on the streets. So, but I absolutely agree with you that when you open a media house, it cannot totally be for, you don't want to run at a loss, but you also know it's a risky business. It's not a business per se just for making money. It's for social good. It's like opening a hospital and saying that
it's for
money
education,
has to
entertainment, and the rest of that. When you set up a media house, you're educating society, or you are profiling solution through entertainment. And
the fourth realm of government, actually. So you must know that it's for social good.
The US government understood this. That was why you said it was funding the media around the world. But sadly, Donald Trump, is this kind of, mercantilist. He has this mercantilist approach to business. So he feels that why should you say be funding media? But let me tell you, if you want the media to be truly independent, like the barrister said, the media should be funded from foundations, so that you don't have to compromise the business. The business funding the foundation can actually face the risks, the whole risk and all of that, the exposure and all of that. But the foundation can insulate the media from that. So
I agree.
It doesn't have to be you say it per se. A media house can set up a business or a number of businesses that now, out of their profits, fund the media outfit. And that way, you see, will not...
That way, government closes you down for 2 months or 3 months.
I, for one, I have not been sucked into the bandits stuff. Because what is a bandit? A bandit is a thief now. It's somebody who carries
We just think,
bags of sacks of corn, carry pots of stew.
An armed robber.
Yeah, just another name for an armed robber.
But then you now call somebody who is going kidnapping, collecting ransoms, and then you say they are bandits.
It is because those in the ruling class are part of the criminality. They are part of the funders, sponsors, and supporters of terrorism in this country. That is why it has remained the issue. Remember, there was a chieftain of APC who confessed openly about how, in anticipation that Jonathan would not surrender, would not hand over, they imported these criminals from the Sahel.
Yes.
He said it. Why was that man not arrested? Up till now. Why? Because who is in government now? Who is the president? Tinubu.
The brother in.
They were the ones who supported Buhari. They were the ones who provided all the necessary logistics and everything. So you cannot expect that Tinubu will be able to effectively defeat terrorism. Because there were a lot of things connected with it. There were a lot of things connected.
Now, when Jonathan suddenly surrendered power to them, they
didn't know what to do.
They couldn't tame those they brought in.
They didn't know what to do with them.
Those ones became a Frankenstein. They are now the albatross that has held.
Yeah, the Bello 2Gs.
One of them now went to give them money for them to stop attacking.
Yes, and he said it on TV.
And yes, they collected the money and they just looked at him
and laughed at him.
Where do you want us to go? We're on our own. You brought
Marudas.
So the problem,
you are jumping into the bandit narrative again, where you call them marauders. They are terrorists. That is what the world knows them as. The issue is this: the Sahel.
Yeah.
The Sahel is majorly desert. It's an ungoverned territory comprising a number of nations: Nigeria, part of Nigeria, Niger,
Cameroon,
not Cameroon.
Chad.
Chad, a bit of Chad.
Niger.
This way, Niger, Mali. And then some parts I think of Burkina Faso and all of that. So, what do you find? There are a lot of criminals because remember there was insurgency in Algeria. There was war for independence in Western Sahara that against Morocco that took many years. Then here and there have been wars in Burkina Faso,
South African Republic.
There was
Somalia.
There are a lot of freelance terrorists.
All the residue of that is poured into the Sahel.
Even Russians. They're also Russians. They're also Ukrainians. They're also Westerners.
You remember
people from Western nations.
Remember that the head of Boko Haram was killed by the head of ISWAP.
Yeah, because they disagreed over certain procedures. But the thing is that now, Boko Haram and ISWAP are working together.
Kidnapping people.
Yes, in Plateau, actively in Benue.
Wow.
Actively in Kogi. So, you see, the thing is just that.
There was terrorism in Kwara.
That's the Mahmuda group.
Yeah.
You see, the thing is this. All of these groups is like a pyramid. One just bunch of criminals. Then they now cascade into franchises.
Yeah.
Okay, you go this way. Remember, the Senate in 2022 held in plenary. They warned the nation that there's a new group, Mahmuda, that has been preaching some extremist things in Kwara.
Wow.
But Nigerians ignored them. Now, these guys, of course, they need money now for their activities. So, they have...
to kidnapping.
Yeah, they resorted to kidnapping and all that. So, you see, the issue is this. To deal with this kidnapping, to deal with this terrorism, that is why some of us are saying that the international community should be involved. Because it won't take anything. Look at the U.S. government using drones to destroy the Houthi rebels and all that.
But not too long ago,
not
too long ago, a senator from the U.S. said that they were using funds from the U.S. ID to fund terrorism.
Well,
it's a statement. Yeah. It's a statement of fact. Okay. So how would the West, how would they do that at the same time? You get them involved to eradicate it.
Very true.
So, no, but you know what? Look at the Taliban. You see, the world is a complex system. There is a lot that Donald Trump is showing us in front. But the same Donald Trump is now showing willingness to negotiate with the Taliban. If you remember under Obama, the Obama administration negotiated with the Taliban through the back door. So they always have these back channels. That is why they maintain good relations with countries like Turkey. Some of these countries, Turkey, Jordan, that when it comes to some of these things, negotiating and all of that with all these kinds of groups, they go through the back door. Israel is bombing Hamas. But Israel allowed Hamas to collect illegal taxes, to do a lot of things. So that is the kind of delicate balance that, you know, that international geopolitics presents. But the thing is that of Nigeria is that we are pretending that we cannot deal with the problem. And it's not true. As if the armed forces cannot, the armed forces can actually deal with the problem. But the problem is that there are other motives. One, land grabbing.
Some of them need the problem too.
How can you say that you are
Sell
deradicalizing criminals, terrorists? You know, where places where that, okay, like in Colombia, in Sri Lanka, where it was introduced, but it was a carrot and stick approach. They were killing some of them. Look at in El Salvador. The president built a solid prison. And just taking gangs, he's locking them in cages. He's not even allowing them to have access to their families. Their families cannot visit them at all. You see, when you want to deal with a problem, you don't treat it, you deal with it decisively. If you are involved.
You arrest people today, the next day you are deradicalizing them. You are sending them back to the society. So I don't think we're ready.
Very, very true. Of course, there's often a drift in all that we have said. If you listen to some of the viral videos from some of these people, they have this balance they usually say in Hausa, what that means literally in Hausa is there are options. You can explore two options in life. And they've often asked, why would the Nigerian government provide amnesty for South people, Niger Delta people, yes, who are, of course, doing all that they're doing. The nation provides everything for them. For them also, they want to equally partake in the national cake. That's actually what they often say. They don't say this in English. They say this in Hausa. And
but they've done so much of this that they can now take a break.
The federal government has created different...
Katsina was paying them. El Rufai was paying them. Different governors have paid these people. And what more do they want?
Emeka, and the truth is, lots of those people who are being de-radicalized are actually not insurgents. They find a way of bringing in people who do not have jobs, so they can be part of those that will be gifted.
While the survivors.
Well, it's actually...
Just some days ago, somebody deserted from the army, ran away from the army, joined Boko Haram. He went and joined the deradicalization program, but he was exposed.
All right. Next up, we have Juror Evans, who will be here to present a case titled Defending the Voice of Delta. When we return from this quick break.
Middlemen.
Welcome back to the Middlemen. My case, defending the voice of Delta. The recent defection of Governor Sheriff Oboriwori and the Delta State House of Assembly members from their former political affiliation raises significant concern among the citizens of Delta State. While officials like Charles Anyago, the Commissioner for Works, may claim that this shift is aimed at fostering development and progress, it is imperative to critically assess the implication of such a move. The truth is that this defection feels more self-serving than altruistic, undermining the spirit of genuine representation that the people of Delta State deserve. First and foremost, the decision to defect without consulting the very constituents they pledge to serve signifies a blatant disregard for the democratic process. Democracy hinged on representation, and when our elected officials act unilaterally, it erodes the trust and bond between them and the citizens. The voices of the people of Delta States are an essential component of governance. Decisions that impact their lives and future must be made transparently and with their input. The lack of consultation in this case leaves many feeling alienated and unrepresented, fostering a growing disconnection between leaders and the populace. Moreover, the notion that this political realignment will yield development is dubious. History has shown us that such abrupt shifts often prioritize the interests of a selected few rather than the collective need of the community. The citizens of Delta states desire comprehensive development not through opportunistic alliances, but through sustained policies and structure. Programs that addresses the fundamental issue facing our communities, education, healthcare, infrastructure, or infrastructural development, and youth empowerment. Genuine development requires more than mere political maneuvering. It demands a commitment to listening to and acting on the concerns of the people. Additionally, it is essential to highlight that political allegiances should be founded on shared values and ideologies rather than expediency. The current defection raises questions about the integrity and principle guiding our electoral officials. When leaders switch party lines, motivated by personal ambition or the allure of political power, they risk alienating the electorate. The people of Delta State deserves leaders who stand firm in their belief, advocate for the interests of their constituents, and prioritize public welfare over personal gains. We need representatives who are accountable to the people, not those who shift their loyalties in search for a more advantageous position. The Delta State populace consists of vibrant, educated, and engaged individuals who want to see their leaders working collaboratively to address pressing societal issues. It is precisely for this reason that the people of Delta State must proactively voice their concern and demand accountability from their leaders. We have the right to question the decisions made on our behalf, to call for transparency, and to insist that our leaders include us in the decision-making process that will shape our lives. My verdict: the defection of Governor Sheriff Oborowori and his fellow or assembly members or the assembly members must be questioned and scrutinized. The claim that this political shift is for the sake of development rings hollow when the voices of the very people they represent are disregarded. As citizens of Delta State, we must remain vigilant, advocating for genuine representation, inclusivity, and leadership that prioritize the interests of the community over personal ambition. It is high time for our leaders to recognize that development is not merely political narrative, but a collective journey built on the participation and consent of the people. Let us stand together and demand the representation that we deserve. I shall go to Rabbi again.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting that all the foot soldiers, like Oviomo Agege and the rest of them who have been carrying APC's matter on their heads, have now been effectively consigned to the dustbin. Oviomo Agege had until now seen himself as the leader of APC in Delta State, even though he was being challenged by Professor Scammell, Minister of Aviation. But now Keyamo has declared allegiance for Borewari. Now, if PDP were a functioning party, you see, the Supreme Court in the matter of the members of 27 members of the Rivers House Assembly defected, you said that the defection must be reflected in the membership register of the political parties, so of the party where they have moved to. So now PDP has the ample opportunity to recall all those to get their seats declared vacant.
Yes.
But the sad thing is that Damagun, Umar Damagun, who is the chairman of PDP, is actually the main agent destabilizing the PDP because he's a wicked acolyte. And the loyal members of the PDP must, at this time, fight back. We must say no to this kind of brigandage because this is plain brigandage. This is criminality. You see, people should not be allowed to get away with these things. Because what it shows is that we are electing people who lack moral character, who lack moral fiber. And it has to be condemned. I see some journalists writing, after this, it will be the governor. They are now doing it as if they are doing... Well, it's interesting. It's interesting that all the foot soldiers, like Oviomo Agege and the rest of them who have been carrying APC's matter on their heads, have now been effectively consigned to the dustbin. Oviomo Agege had until now seen himself as the leader of APC in Delta State, even though he was being challenged by Professor Scammell, Minister of Aviation. But now Keyamo has declared allegiance for Borewari. Now, if PDP were a functioning party, you see, the Supreme Court in the matter of the members of 27 members of the Rivers House Assembly defected, you said that the defection must be reflected in the membership register of the political parties, so of the party where they have moved to. So now PDP has the ample opportunity to recall all those to get their seats declared vacant.
Yes.
But the sad thing is that Damagun, Umar Damagun, who is the chairman of PDP, is actually the main agent destabilizing the PDP because he's a wicked acolyte. And the loyal members of the PDP must, at this time, fight back. We must say no to this kind of brigandage because this is plain brigandage. This is criminality. You see, people should not be allowed to get away with these things. Because what it shows is that we are electing people who lack moral character, who lack moral fiber. And it has to be condemned. I see some journalists writing, after this, it will be the governor. They are now doing it as if they are doing pools betting. It's shameful. Journalists who should condemn such things are the ones now trumpeting. It's shameful.
I'm a journalist and I don't care which political party the governor belongs to. Are they providing good governance? Are the people better for it? Because the political parties, if not all of them that we have in Nigeria, they're all political platforms where I just come because I think that I have interest. I mean, look at the Labour Party's Val Ozigbo, who went to APC thinking that they were going to give him the flagship for governorship elections for Anambra State. And he went to show Tinubu's daughter that now in APC. What happened to him? He lost the primaries. Who really cares about which political? The party that Tinubu is in was the party that Buhari was in. What has the APC done for any Nigerian in 10 years, aside from the political stalwarts, their godsons, and their allies?
That of data is even more painful because former Governor Kowa, who led the state before the current governor, had spent over ₦1 trillion.
Jesus.
Which he embezzled and is now before the EFCC. Whether it's allegedly, people say allegedly. I know that.
You don't allegedly or facts.
Yeah, because now he has been looking for an escape route since. How to pull out from criminal liability or prosecution and have met with the APC and have been promised soft landing.
You know,
So
former
he
governor
has now used his influence.
Come to APC.
Yes, that is the man.
Yeah, but Yaya Bello
Now-
in APC.
now-
has he been giving?
Now he has used his influence to convince the cabinet member and the executive, including the governor, and so that they can pull out from the PDP and face. It's not altruistic.
So that
What they are
APC
telling
will
us-
pardon him, right?
Yes, what Charles Anyago is telling us that is for development is false.
Which developments?
It's
That's
a
the
lie,
question-
because-
that's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, because moving from PDP to APC does not add to the revenue of Delta State.
At all.
It should rather even take away from them, because they have to start their allegiance to the party. They have to contribute to the party
Some
in
money.
power.
Yeah.
Just like Okowa
Contributed to the PDP's
contributed
campaign.
to the White Elephant project.
Project by
that
Atiku.
Even when after their Sabbath declaration, they all agreed, okay, that power should come to the South.
He went to go and
He was
join.
the host governor. He was the host governor.
Imagine.
Then he left that place and went to join Atiku on that bandwagon.
Traitor
Took Delta State money and went to blow it up.
to campaign.
Yes, now he found himself in the EFCC net. He's now looking for a way,
A soft landing.
a soft land, a way to pull out so that he can escape criminal liability. You saw the way he was smiling when
Juror Evans,
defection.
you are a Deltan.
So-
What can the people do?
What the people can do is what we're saying now, that the people should be vigilant. The people should come out for a protest.
Okay.
The people must ensure that the investigation that is ongoing by
Comes to a
Okowa,
conclusive end.
yes, he must be prosecuted for
For
you know,
stealing
for
public
stealing money
funds.
that belongs to the people of Delta State. He cannot use
How much,
backdoor.
how much did you call that money again?
Over 1 trillion.
1.3 trillion.
1.3 trillion.
How much is Nigerian budget?
45 trillion.
You can imagine.
So it's just like one of.
It's about one fourth of Nigerian budget that only him took and went to blow it up. Is he the only one in Delta State?
Now,
So imagine the kind of money. Imagine what the kind of project that funds
Could do.
could do.
How many hospitals? How many schools?
No, you know, sorry, you know the interesting thing was that when he was governor, Buhari's budget was 8 trillion. If you remember, it was 8 trillion. The then chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Fowler, Batunde Fowler, at the time promised Buhari that he could raise a substantial part of the money from taxes. So what it means is that all the work,
That Fowler has done.
that he did at that time,
One person has stolen it. Well,
now there's no gainsaying, right? There's no gainsaying that this defection is literally an SOS defection, save our soul defection. There's no gainsaying about that. As much as most of us agree that it's a marriage of convenience, those in the APC are not really looking at it from that perspective. What they are rather saying is that there is a fault with the PDP, that the PDP is not a strong opposition. That is the reason why people are joining the APC. That was what he said. And he was even given an example of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from 1999 up onwards, that at that point that he was the strongest of the opposition and he stood his ground, and how that the PDP governors are not standing their grounds to opposition and all, and that was the reason why they defected.
so
now,
talking
Charles
about
Stephen,
President Tinubu when he was governor.
Yes, when he was
is a
governor.
governor. Why is he not standing his ground in PDP?
and what Charles
Tinubu
actually
stood
said,
as the only AD governor that remains. By 2003 elections, all the southwestern states had been wiped out by PDP.
and that was what the man was actually saying, that if Tinubu could stand his ground, then the opposition, the PDP, should equally stand their ground. But because they are
Why is
lazy,
he
he
not
actually called them
standing?
lazy.
No. He's
But he was in the
pointing
opposition
a
before
finger.
him.
He's pointing a finger.
Against
and
himself.
three fingers are pointing
let me
like
tell you,
that
that
at him.
2003, the fact that Obasanjo
Left
was not
Lagos.
was not able to take Lagos was because Obasanjo was not serious about taking Lagos. Who was the candidate then? Was it not Dosumu?
Was it not
in
Obasanjo was not
2003.
serious, or it was
Obasanjo was not serious. In fact, the person who should have led the charge, Bode George.
Remember that
But they
John
judge.
Williams was killed not too long before that.
Yes, all
That
of those things.
destabilized
Yes,
people in
all of
Lagos
those things.
State.
All of those things. So that's what I'm saying, that saying that Tinubu's too strong is just, begging the question. We were all reporters on ground. We saw
I get what you mean.
everything that happened.
I get what you
So it's not as if Tinubu was one fantastic
strong governor.
politician.
Oh, I get what you mean.
If PDP had wanted to take Lagos,
Once
that
Future Williams died, they would have found a
they
stronger
wouldn't even have allowed Future Williams to be killed.
like that.
It was so clear. They would have protected him. Why was their candidate, why was Future Williams staying in Dolphin Estate, which had the divided duplexes? The other duplex, the three duplex, the people living there packed out.
And then somebody came in
ahead through the roof. What kind of
protection is that for your
Future Williams had good protection. He had good police protection on the road. But how come that carelessness took place in the house where it was? Why did he occupy
the entire
whole
duplex?
Place? So there was a lot of things. And then, of course, his wife. You saw how
they now gave her
candidate. So you see,
so they played into Tinubu's hands. It wasn't that it was a
the people in Lagos, the PDP people in Lagos
played into it
at that time.
Played into it.
Bode George, Muritala Mohammed Ashorobi, and the rest of them, they all played into Tinubu.
Juror Henry. So all the lies and machinations and shenanigans of that, oh no, there was this strong. If he's right about what he's saying, right, that President Tinubu stayed strong as, the only AC and then ADAC and then ACN governor, why is he not staying in the PDP and becoming a strong governor also that can defend his political party, rather jumping to the ruling political party for his own selfish reasons, and so that his political godfather can find a soft landing from the EFCC? I beg.
It was for the purpose of saving. It was for the purpose of saving his political godfather that he joined in moving. Okay,
so if
Tinubu was such a strong politician, why did he not help Atiku to scale through under AC in 2007? We witnessed all these things, but just, when they won, when they just try twisting the Gen Zs, we just spreading it, and they were not around there.
He had Ribadu in 2011.
2011. Why did Ribadu won only Osun State? Because Aregbesola
was governor.
Well, Aregbesola stood his ground. Why would we disgrace our own candidate? So look, all of this talk about this thing is just opportunistic.
We'll go on a short break, and the conversation will continue when we return. Juror Emeka will present his case titled Tinubu's Midterm Scorecard. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks for staying tuned. My case, Tinubu's midterm scorecard. It's almost 2 years since Bola Ahmed Tinubu was inaugurated as the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's 2 years already, but the picture is gloomy. It's nothing to write home about because he came on board with an assumed air of self-importance about being a fantastic manager of economic matters. Too bad he declared the removal of subsidy at the inauguration and sent the economy into a tailspin. In an incredulous touch of overconfidence, Tinubu put the Naira on a float. 2 years later, the Naira is gasping for breath. Even though the dollar is weak due to United States President Donald Trump's tariff wars, the battered currency has been unable to rise significantly. Oil prices are down to the 60s, but petrol is still pricey. Let me not talk about the non-existent power supply, talk about insecurity, killings, spiraling cost of living and all that. Nigerians are finding it hard breathing these days. It's become just what Tinubu once promised, that if elected, he will slow down the economy, reduce purchasing power, and raise taxes. He has actually buried the economy, very sad. Even at the state and local governments, good governance is a mirage. Where do we go from here? My verdict. Nigerians had thought that after 8 years of the low cost under Buhari, they would have a respite. But Tinubu came in and said he will continue with the atrophication of the polity. There is no principled governance as politicians are busy fighting over money and offices. They've put 2027 on the front burner, even though it's still 2 years away. Nigerians must join ranks and push back against these monsters. They don't mean well for us.
So we normally would just go from one election cycle to the next without expecting good governance in between. I mean, I remember how from 1999 to 2003, 2007, it's just from one election cycle to the other. The APC came in 2014 and we're shouting, oh, PDP has been in power for 12 years. What have we gained? Okay, now they're in power for 10 years. We're waiting for President Tinubu to complete his one term. And then we can also say to them, you've been in power for 12 years. Nigerians have gone poorer. They met rice at 8,000, took it to 100,000. They met insecurity with, Boko Haram in the northeast. Now, we have Boko Haram in the northeast, ISWAP in the middle belt. Kidnappers. And then armed headsmen and bandits. Everywhere, all over the country. Then some of them will say that, oh, rather, we are hunters in Edo and Delta. Insecurity everywhere. People are finding it hard, to survive. Three square meals has become 1 square meal now. 001. Just find something to eat before you go.
Have 00.
Eh?
Have. The one is not even complete. The truth of the matter is this reminds me, and it's actually very interesting. The Nigerians are beginning to play back, some of those old tapes. A very classical one is the Chatham House conversation he had with members of the press and all that. I remember one question was given to him. In fact, one person asked 3 questions, and he said, I have a philosophy. Now, I'm now saying what Bola Tinubu said. I have a philosophy I've always believed in a very long time, and that is the philosophy of not doing everything myself. For the security, El-Rufai, answer. For economy, Ben Ayadi, answer. For this one, he pointed to another person, answer. And this is the result of that shenanigan.
See El-Rufai now screaming and singing like a canary up and down.
When I started delivering a teaching, I was talking about Olympotic meristematic, kinetic, whatever he calls those things. At the end of the day, see where we are now. We're
not buying a bag of rice. 10,000.
So we are. It's unfortunate. I mean, you talk about how he ruined the economy, because that is the word. You talk about the eutrophication of the economy. Now, he did so many things at the same time, thinking he was doing the right thing. And I didn't know where he got that inspiration from slowing the economy.
He bought his star boy.
Why the taxman? Why should you do that? Is that what you should be doing? Why should you slow economy? That's bad.
He said reduce our purchasing power.
Why
and then bring in more taxes into the tax name.
You cannot have hardship.
He brought his star boys from when he was governor, right?
Retired old men.
They were star boys 24 years ago.
Who were carrying their grandchildren, old men.
They were star boys 24 years ago. But now, all their ideas have also become obsolete with their age.
They are old men. Even with their age, when they were young men, what did they achieve?
I know.
One of them.
Why will you set out from your house?
Well, tell me what Emeka does.
Emeka was fantastic.
Why will you set out from your house just to slow down the economy?
Fantastic commissioner in what?
I don't understand.
Yeah, let me tell you. See, all of this.
But unfortunately, as ministers, what's the CBN governor's name?
Emeka does.
And Minister of Finance, Wale Adu. They were fantastic commissioners under Tinubu, right?
Because the media made it look like that
at the time.
Yes.
Even if they were, the economy was a smaller economy.
It was just Lagos. It was just Lagos.
Yes, it's some
Lagos economy.
What was the population of Lagos even that time?
20 million.
You understand?
Was it 20 million?
It was 20 million.
It's
not up to 20 million. Even till now, is it up to
1998?
We counted under. We counted under Fashola in 2006. And they said Lagos was 23 million.
Where 20 million in Lagos?
20 million is recent too.
Yeah. Anyway.
Where is the 20 million? Even today, where is 20 million in Lagos?
No, we are.
Really?
They're all the night buses that come to Lagos every day.
Which night bus? Plus the trailers. They are bringing our bookies. I hope you know, go to Fat Games. Go by the bridge, the long bridge. You also see the same bookies returning to the north.
Anyway, the point I wanted to raise was that the fact that you come into governance after seeing your touted boy with integrity, that's Buhari, fail at everything for 8 years. The day of your inauguration, without seeing the Buhari books. Now, when you ask them about security, right, they'll say, Ribadu was saying a few days ago that we inherited a very, very bad situation. So, without seeing the situation, on the inauguration day, you say, subsidy is gone. And prices that could have stayed stable until June of 2023 immediately skyrocketed. They now decided that, okay, let's float the Naira. They floated the Naira, and the prices of petroleum following the dollar now was just going up and up and up. And they, through the back door, started defending it. They will release some funds from our foreign
They are
reserves.
still paying subsidy for information. They are still paying subsidy. Let me tell you, if it was only the removal of subsidy, the prices would have danced and danced and danced
And then
still
stabilized.
come back. They would have stabilized. But the floating of the Naira, now the same IMF that told them to leave the Naira to find the value, is now, as of today, now the IMF telling them,
That
what you're
Nigerians
spending,
are too hungry. They're saying Nigerians
what you're
are too
spending.
hungry.
Now, they have been spending money defending the Naira. The same thing they are holding the Emefiele for.
Very
It's
true.
the same thing they are still doing today.
But again, when IMF said let the Naira find its real value, did he also tell them to go on a spending spree? So you cannot blame IMF that when you ask a government to allow its currency find its real value, because you're not exporting.
How can the
If
Naira
you were-
find its value when you are not producing?
Yes.
Eh, now,
And
they're saying the same
the
thing.
CFA now overtook the Naira.
Yes, now
So
my
finally-
Congolese customers are buying products worth of million
so
naira.
what
because,
value?
Because Naira is now lower than
Which
their
value?
currency
Now,
now.
one of my friends traveled to Ghana the other day, said in the bus that he saw one small boy who said, look at Nigerian currency now. That look, he's heading to Ghana, even if it's security job or anything.
That it will be
That
higher than our
he said when
Naira.
you change the CD to Naira.
Naira.
So,
Very
Or is that, to be honest, it is going there to suffer.
They will.
Or the Ghanaian economy is nothing to write
Yes,
about.
yes.
It's just looking at the currency.
Yes,
it's not looking
exactly.
at the
At
economy that will suck up that
Yeah,
money.
very
It's
true.
going to end.
that is the problem.
That money will finish in his very eyes.
So
But
are
do
you
you know that-
saying
but
to
did you
those
see-
of us that are jackpying to the UK and America too, that we're only looking at the foreign exchange, we are not looking at the
Oh, those
economy.
places, they are
Those of
better.
us-
Go and do security.
They are
in the
better
UK.
structured though. They are
No,
better
those
structured.
you will actually earn more there. You
Eh.
also spend almost everything.
It's the same thing now.
But did you see the
But
video?
the recompense is that the condition of living.
Yes, the standard of living is
standard of
good.
living, medicals
You will
and
get
all that.
good health care,
Yeah.
you get good
But
education,
to say that you are going there to overnight, honestly,
and then
to
and
billion.
save billions.
But did you see the video of the lady who was talking about Burkina Faso? That they have constant light, they have this and they have that.
Because Ibrahim Traore is doing magic in Burkina Faso.
So what we have to look at is that Tinubu in 2 years has done havoc.
Aside from living in France and coming on holiday to Nigeria once in a while, because if
No, he said, sorry, living or working in France.
Oh.
He said he was going for a
the
working
Igbos
visit.
have been working.
Mostly.
No. Sir, please,
Are you saying our president is lying?
let's be factual.
Are you saying our president is
He's
lying? He
working
said he was
remotely.
working
Macron was not,
remotely.
how was he working? Macron was not in France.
No, remote work now is the thing. So
Oh,
he
he
was
was
working
doing
from France. Yes.
Oh,
I don't know where he finds his inspiration from. I don't know.
And unfortunately, those who should be there to help check all of these things are busy screaming and shouting on your mandate, which has
National
that's what-
Assembly.
and it's even worsening the
The man is a very generous man. If you are close to
That
him,
mandate is very profitable.
So if one goes close to him, you equally shout.
Yeah, imagine also.
there are people that say the man is hard to meet. But when you meet him one-on-one,
You will get on the mandate.
he will settle
You sing on your mandate.
So don't blame those who are.
So what's the solution for Nigerians? Sir? Because we are not banking on INEC in 2027. as
No,
it
the
is.
solution now, first of all, let us call Tinubu out. He should sit up.
Sit
that
up
is
from
it.
what now?
Sit up from slowing down the economy.
Baba is not on social media. It doesn't.
Oh, he said he doesn't want
No,
to
he's
hear
not.
people
He doesn't.
abusing
Yes,
him on social media.
He doesn't even know
Did
what
you
we're talking about.
not go there because he wanted to settle you?
No, I've not been singing on his
You
mandate.
know, he was just a Milocon.
Eh.
Have you seen that our Locon now, when insurgency is entering Kwara State, Yoruba land? I was saying, maybe the Northerners, Arewa Consultative Forum, they have claimed Kwara, Abi. So insurgency reaching Kwara, it's still our Locon up north. until it comes down to Ondo and Ekiti. Anyway,
but it's not just
point
they got to Ondo now. Is that not where they killed 25 worshippers in
there-
St. Francis Church?
did you not see the Owo massacre?
That one was
Anyway.
specifically an attack on the governor.
Yeah.
Former governor.
Anyway, it's Nigerians that will take Nigeria back. That's my final word on this.
Yes.
We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, Juror Olajumoke Alaude James will be presenting a case titled, Who Cares for Poor Nigerians? Do stay tuned.
Thanks for staying with us. It's still the Middlemen, and my jurors are still here. My case, who cares for poor Nigerians? Easter 2025 wedding organizers, collect your flowers. The United Nations Food Program will not believe there are hungry Nigerians. The expensive ashrebi, the spraying of cash, no one will believe that Nigeria is the capital of poverty in the world. That's why the supporters of this government will hail Hasoro going off the grid with a 10 billion naira solar system, while the rest of us on expensive Bade have been without electricity for 3 days because of a thunderstorm. Who really cares about Nigeria? I've noticed that Nigerians only complain when things affect them. Killings of Christians in Plateau, Gombe, and Benue states. The dead are ruled out like mere statistics. But if an elite community is without power for 2 weeks, we carry placards and protests. Niger state government in fighting terrorism has said those of us with dreadlocks should be arrested and our hair caught. No be juju be that. Wetin you wan use my dada do? The governor, Umar Bago, has now made a flip-flop on that policy after public outcry. What was he thinking before? As a middleman, I realized that we can stay in our bubbles, in posh neighborhoods in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and the capitals of our states, and think every Nigerian is just struggling like us. It's not that bad if people aren't eating from the beans, we say. But if we have progressive and creative leadership with our population and resources underbelly each state, no Nigerian should be living without civilization. It's healthy to have our own farms that feed us and walk miles to our destinations. But no Nigerian should be without education or healthcare. No Nigerian should be insecure, regardless of which part of the country they live in. We're too rich for that. So I ask again, who cares about Nigeria's over 100 million poor people? My verdict, if you just provide good roads and rail networks for us to transport our goods, if the government would ensure that 24 hours electricity is provided, Nigerians will create their own jobs and opportunities. Caring about the poor is not only about giving them handouts like rice, agbado, or 10,000 naira during elections. It's about creating an enabling environment for all citizens to healthy living. Nigerians, we must take Nigeria back today.
It's not about giving them
Yeah.
Is it cassava? Is it agbado? Is it cassava?
He said to find security, we should recruit 50 million Nigerians.
What to feed them?
Feed them with
Agbado, gari, cassava,
agbado in the morning.
cassava.
So why are you saying not agbado?
It's not just about agbado.
I thought that you are going to title this case, Who is Not Poor in Nigeria? Because all of us are impoverished technically. Nigeria is the only
But when
country-
you look at us in Lagos and our own and bed every weekend, particularly over this Easter holidays, would you think that anybody is poor in Nigeria?
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. But let me tell you, all those ashrebi you see them wear, they sold it for a period of over 6-7 months. It does not necessarily translate to the fact that they really have money
In the pocket.
in their pockets and they are really living well.
No, our
These
celebs are
Ashwebis-
living a...
hold on, these Ashwebis, I'm telling you that. See, if I want to have an event now, 7 months away, I will tell you that this is what I want to do and I give you whatever it is. And over that 7 months, you get it prepared and all that. Oh, that everybody is colorful. Does not really mean people are okay. There are those who are very rich, okay, within us. But if you look at the statistics and look at the population, the people that have become impoverished, that this government have dragged into that, because they want to slow down economy, the people that the government have dragged into poverty are more than the people that this government have helped to. The middle class that used to have businesses around.
They are now poor.
Go to, one of the litmus tests for the Lagos economy is when you take a walk through Allen Avenue. Okay? In those days,
They used to have plenty shops.
yeah, startup everywhere at Allen Avenue. I'm just using that as
As an example.
situation. Yeah. Take a walk through Allen Avenue now. Everywhere is empty.
True.
Just
Empty,
that,
empty houses.
Just that corner. These are a lot of businesses. That is the same thing that's happening all over the country. Yeah. So that is why a lot of people are taking into, 419, drugs,
Crypto,
a lot of people
Forex,
are doing wrong things.
Online business.
Just to keep up with body and soul. The middle class who are not ready to go into those very dubious are taking a walk away from the country. Okay.
They have jackpot.
Yes, and they've gone to places where they are not living averagely. They don't mind. You understand? There used to be big boys here, but they don't mind. They sold everything and left. So those of us who are still here, we're only here by the grace of God. Not like we are,
I have a question for Nigerians. When they ask the richest woman in Nigeria how she became rich, it's this grace of God she always points out to. There's no strategy, no structure to
you don't
creating
need structure.
wealth.
You don't need structure to become richest in Nigeria. What you need
is the grace of God.
Is to have the grace of God and have connection, have connection to the source of where they are stealing money from. Once you are connected to that source where they are stealing from,
that is it.
It's a commonwealth, okay? It's a commonwealth that people declare.
In the hands of a few.
That's what people declare as their money.
It's actually very, very strange.
An unjust society.
Someone called it, we have this strange hyperbolic cultural status symbol where we pretend what we are not. Like the Ashwebi thing. You see Nigerians when they go to parties, you see them celebrate so highly. Most of these people are coming from what we call yards, where you see 200 people in one place.
Yeah,
right?
Compound.
Yes, compound. But when you see the same people at parties, you'll be asking yourself, I hope, and they tell you where they're coming from, you would never believe. So this status symbol we give ourselves, give the outside world the impression that we are doing fine when we are not. Dirty December is a very classical case.
Very true.
So many Americans came to Nigeria during that time.
No, but it was the Nigerians that were jackpot dying. That were dating December.
No, some of them came with their friends.
Those of us that were in here, we're very happy to receive them because all the dollar coming into the economy.
Now, some of them, right, Americans that actually came with their Nigerian friends.
Yeah.
Some of them took out the time out of the dating December, glees and glamour, and wanted to, mix themselves with the environment. They were really, really shocked. How that they saw people, carrying things in their head, kids, selling down the street and all that. And, what
Juror Henry. My neighbor who was raised seeing people selling things on the streets. When he came he didn't come Dirty December. It was a senior brother who came. He came for a wedding in January, right? He said he went to Abule Egba, all the suburbs, that he was expecting the way that we are complaining about Nigeria, that he will see poor people. That what he saw was everybody enjoying themselves at their own level. So he will go to Abule Egba and there are small pubs on the streets. At night, people drinking beer and pepper soup. So at your own level, if your salary is 100,000 or 50,000 and you live in Abule Egba, you will come and drink.
Well, it was right too.
Yes, now.
That's true.
Everybody was happy at their level.
Yes,
now. Your case should have had a different title. You know the issue. Many of these countries, we call them developed countries. There's one thing I do, if I go to a country, I try to look for the behind the scene. Many of these countries, they have all those behind the scenes. But you know what they try to do? They try to make sure that there's a kind of flow of, social services, using social services, things like this, food banks and some of those things, to make sure that,
the people behind the scene.
Activity, like they say on the street, when they form activity.
Yeah.
So that there'll be, there'll be people who form activity.
Yeah.
Things will be moving. So no matter the glimpses you see of poverty here and there, but you will still
have a comfortable standard of living.
No, you still have some good pictures to report. That's why you see people travel abroad. They are taking pictures left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with this economy the people in government have not been able to understand how to make all these things, make them go round.
Fund people at their level of.
At their level of enjoyment. There are people. For instance, when I traveled home recently, I was asking her, there's this goat I used to see here. Where is that? I said, I sold it for 28,000. And this reminds me that I was like, I'm hungry. I am this and that. But somehow she's getting along.
Yes, the power of adaptability of Nigerians, no matter what it is strange. It needs to be studied, though.
Yes, so that's the survival this in there.
Instinct.
That's why you survive. You are able to just
adjust.
It was Charles Darwin that said that the strongest is not the strongest or the most powerful that will survive. It's the one who can adapt, to situations, and the one who can pull himself together to environment. Those are the people that will survive, not the strongest, not whatever it is.
Very, very true.
So that adaptation.
Yes, and there's this guy on social media. He calls himself Ngoma, that does a comparison of real estate in Lagos and real estate in other New York, South Africa, and all that. And every time I watch this guy, I ask myself, is it that we are so rich that you see a property that's not so
the houses are overpriced.
But the question is, they're overpriced. Who are those that buy those
Our politicians.
In Nigeria.
Our politicians.
Take note, you have the oil and gas industry.
You have the banking.
You have banking. Look at
So there's 1% of our population
that buy everything.
Who are on the hierarchy.
Yes.
Oh, do you know what I discovered is you have the 1%.
Yes.
Those that go taste.
Uh-huh.
Then at the lower level,
you have their
at
managers.
our lower level, you still have
Managers.
Who manage those funds, and true. They also make their own out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe through commissions.
So they can comfortably go and buy a house of 1 billion naira in Banana Island.
People are buying it too.
I'm
surprised.
What are the what business are they doing?
That's the question. That's the question.
Yes.
You're talking of Banana Island. When you travel out of
Go to Abuja and see houses.
go to the east.
Go to the east here and see what people are
to
building.
River State. When you see houses, you will know that Lagos.
No, they say the boys in River State have money. Forget that one.
No, that's what I'm telling you. So
forget Rivers.
Government find a way. What kind of government find? Like when I
that the oil money, every corner you find what they call those refineries.
Those fire.
No, the small ones. Yeah, the illegal ones. No, that there's so much oil money that the boys don't know what to do. They are even just buying hotels and building skyscrapers.
Yeah. When I was in Bayelsa some months ago, went for a conference. The government now took us to the quarters for judges.
Modular refinery was what I was trying to remember.
They took us to the new quarters. There's a place they call New Yeragua. Swali, New Yeragua. That is, it's so far from the city that it's like, just like Atlantic. If you see the houses there. In agreement with you.
No, I'm not even talking about judges. I'm talking boys, right? When we're doing African Movie Awards in Bayelsa, these boys, they are on islands, so they come by speedboat. They say, you Lagos people, you want to come and do awards here, if you don't settle us. They are in the creeks, right? But if you see the kind of buildings that they are building there, again, oil money, modular refineries, what were they calling themselves? The Bakassi boys that these northerners are now claiming that maybe you settled the Niger Delta boys. Come and say, they have settled themselves so well that you would not wonder true as a foreigner looking at Nigeria from the outside. Where are the poor people that they claim they are actually poor?
Where are these poor people?
There was something under Buhari. Somebody traveled to Nigeria Republic and said that if you see the finest houses now,
they are owned by Nigerians. Buhari's cousins.
People who became rich on that part. You see, all of these islands of wealth, a clever government will just sit down and find a way. The legitimate.
And agree with
find
you.
A way.
Is it not Nigerians that bought all of Atlantic? No more land there.
No more land.
Nigerians are buying it.
You are talking. Go to.
There's money, just that you have not seen it. There's money. Serious money in Nigeria.
There is no land.
Asaba is the highest growing city in Nigeria as we speak now.
There's no free land. There is Buso. The way essays are coming up and are being bought in the Buzo.
You can buy a plot of land in Asava, 1 billion. It's there. Yes.
Jurors.
Where
I think I want to change my title. Who is the poor in Nigeria?
Where are the poor?
who is the poor? No, you have to do a series. You have to take it for that.
Many years ago, he went out in search of the common man. So, he needs to just put on his thinking.
And I've said something about this common man too, that the common man should also try and help himself. Every time we're fixated with the common man. Who's the common man? Where does he live?
Now, okay, there was something I put on Facebook about a friend whose wife is, stuck in the hospital. But if I told him to take health insurance, he would have balked at it.
And that's the solution.
And that would have helped him. So the thing is,
so we're living a fake life.
even in my town, somebody did health insurance for 750 people that came to over 6 million. Do you know there were some people
Who are saying, give us our money?
they said give us the money to go and eat. That we don't need health insurance. That God has covered us. So the issue is this: you need to deal. It's not about money in the pocket. It's about the attitude of Nigeria, because there's a lot of possibilities, resources,
Opportunities.
Yes, but the mindset. If the mindset is not right,
Very true.
you can pump all the money you like. It doesn't all this empowerment is just a waste of money. Empower the people's thinking.
So once on this table, you said to us that poverty is actually is it a machination, or you called it an industry? That there are really no poor people. People adapt, and then for the sake of their own will and whatever it is that they're doing, government will continue to talk about poverty, but we truly do not find the poor people when we're looking for them.
If government should, for instance, pump money into, say, okay, people take loans for agriculture. Now, in the Southwest now, the people who do all of this, farming and others, are Benue people and Hausa people. They are very good at cultivating. But the same people will come out and you say they are poor. But if you check what they have, because they have an association called Arewa Traders Association, which supports them with soft loans and all of these things. So if government can drill down to all those cooperative societies, all these associations, town unions, all these kindred associations and all that, you will find out that there is so much money that if government can find a way to make it go round. The problem with Nigeria is...
But one thing you must understand is that poverty is a habit.
It's a habit, thank you.
There are people you cannot eviscerate from the banalities of poverty, because it's habitual to them. Yes. No matter how much you give them, they have developed habits that will suck up that money at every point in time. So those ones are the really poor people, not the ones that are circumstantially poor. The circumstantially poor can come out from poverty with the right condition. Yes. But the habitual poor person cannot come out from anything. He's soaked, he's addicted to poverty. The scripture says that the rich man's wealth is a strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. And what poverty does is that it changes your imagination. It changes everything about you. And before you know it, it has conditioned you to just remain poor. Anything anybody is saying is bouncing from your ears, going outside, because you have come to that resolution that this is your point. There's nothing you can do about it. Those people, what they need is not money.
Is it mindset?
What they need is orientation. Before you even hand over money to them. Otherwise, everything will
destroy everything.
Okay, that concludes today's sitting of the Middlemen of Jurors. A special thank you to our jurors for their compelling cases, and to you, our juror at home. Thanks for staying with us. Keep the debate burning. Share your thoughts and verdicts with us on social media at Enterprise TV 7. Until our next session, stay informed, stay engaged, and let your voice be the verdict that shapes our future. From the Middlemen, we say bye for now.
Thank you.